Welcome everyone to our FIMS and Donor Central product roadmap webinar. We are going to be reviewing the webinar and what has happened so far. So today we're going to hear from Jeff Kahn, our co-CEO, as well as Kevin Howren, our Chief Technology Officer, and Brandon Keir, our Director of Product. So take it away, Jeff.
Thank you so much, Amy. So first, before we start getting into all the details of the survey results and then kind of what our near-term plans are for FIMS and Donor Central, I think we just wanted to level set again on why we made this acquisition. It increases our scale and ability to invest in our products. It accelerates our ability to offer really a full stack of modular tools for foundations, provides us with market leadership within the community foundation segment. We have a transition services agreement with our partners at Blackbaud to ensure plenty of time for a seamless migration to our own secure infrastructure in Azure. And then second, it just gives us, we are really focused on communicating with all of you well in advance of major transitions. And, we completed the support transition at the end of last year. And obviously, that there will be other meaningful transitions as well. So this is a high-level timeline for how the FIMS Donor Central infrastructure migration is proceeding. I'd love to have our Kevin kind of touch at a pretty high level upon any specific details here. So I'll hand it off to him.
Hi, everybody. I apologize. I'm having some technical difficulties this morning. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So yeah, as Jeff mentioned, we have a lot of great plans for FIMS and Donor Central this year. I know a lot of people have had questions, and we're still happy to answer those questions. And by all means, any concerns you have, feel free to ask them here, or we're always open to answer any questions you want to forward through support. So right now, we are still actively working on testing the migration. To be totally transparent, it's been very successful so far. We've been really happy with everything that's gone on with the technology and the team and our work with Blackbaud. So it's been really exciting. So we began by having, as you can see here, a number of meetings with Blackbaud to just dig into additionally to the technology to see not only what it's going to take to migrate everybody, but what we can take advantage of during that time to maybe make some improvements to not only the hosting, but the experience that all the FIMS customers and Donor Central customers have. And we'll be making some additional announcements about that in the future, but we're excited that we will be seeing some improved performance and a better user experience. It should be easier for everybody to log on and get to the applications. So right now, like I previously said, we're in the testing phase where we have begun building out the infrastructure on Azure to make sure that it's going to meet all the needs that we have now and over the next 5 years that we've committed to host these applications. And so upon nearing the end of that phase, we'll begin bringing over some customers. This will be an effort that is not one that is, hey, here's your time to migrate. You have no choice in the matter. We definitely have some thoughts on how we want to go through this process, but by all means, if we'll be working with each of you to make sure it works with your schedule. By no means do we want to interfere with any initiatives you have. So you'll be receiving additional communications about the opportunity to migrate some. We've heard from some organizations that want to get in early, and we have some that kind of want to wait towards the end. So definitely, it's not a set process. We are happy to work with you on that. So you should begin to see some communications about that over the next couple months. And once again, by all means, feel free to reach out, ask questions, share your concerns, and we will be happy to address them. Just know that again, like the slide shows, we are doing thorough testing, and are excited to get y'all moved over and for you to see the improvements we've made that'll come before some additional improvements we'll be making to the products. That is all I have, Jeff. If you want to go ahead and
thank you, Kevin.
Absolutely.
So next, I wanted to really kind of personally share some of the results from the FIMS Donor Central User Survey that many of you filled out this past fall. So first off, thank you so much for your feedback. It's incredibly helpful to us. Over 124 respondents. So I would say the vast majority of our FIMS customers, or at least 2/3 of our FIMS customers, ended up filling out the survey. There were both executive and more junior end user roles using a range of systems and environments, as you see on the right. The vast majority of respondents had significant experience in the nonprofit space. 68 of them with over 10 years and using the FIMS product as well. So here are just some selected comments from the survey that I felt like it was worth sharing with all of you. Just first resolves around our newly transitioned kind of support and product services staff, and I can only highlight again like how lucky we are that Robin Jaskolska, Leanne Hillman, and also Rich Schnitzler were able to come over and join us shortly after the acquisition. So, Leanne's assistance to getting complex issues resolved has been instrumental in us staying with FIMS in DC. We rarely have issues that a knowledge-based article can solve for history with product significant benefit to us. Robin was excellent in training resolving our FIMS issues. FIMS has a lot of potential, and once you learn how to use it, you can do a lot with it, but we were lacking the training resources to get everyone up to that level. It would be helpful to have more resources from Impact. FIMS is not a CRM tool, completely out of date compared to the other solutions on the market. Donor Central is more friendly and easy to navigate, but our donors have had problems logging in and accessing donor information, which, as Kevin mentioned, is going to be addressed with our with our new user authentication tools that we're going to be employing. FIMS is outdated and lacks upgrades to make it a good choice for an organization. Donor Central satisfactory, but also lacks individual modifications to make it more user-friendly. And then upgrades and creation of user-friendly report generation, better navigation when trying to find answers to questions, particularly around report. So we essentially kind of went through every single one of your comments and just generally kind of like bucketed them around key product and key feature areas. And we went one by one, for both FIMS and Donor Central. And so this is essentially kind of the aggregated kind of list of comments for FIMS. Top on the list of user requests was reporting capability improvements. And fourth down was improved fund financial statement creation and maintenance. And I'd say like those two are obviously pretty related. There were also a number of comments around interface usability improvements, wanting kind of fewer steps and clicks, and then enhanced training, documentation, and help content. And then also around kind of increasing the amount of total workflows that were web accessible. And then moving down the line, there's kind of CRM functionality, more kind of automated correspondence and integrations and a few other things. The MS Office in HostNet comments I thought were really interesting as well. And this was the list for Donor Central. So top of the list was embedded donation capabilities, both credit card and ACH, and then front-end configurability, branding, and design improvements. And then moving down, there was a desire for additional media uploads associated with funds, automation or kind of triggers when recommendations are submitted or processed, and then just kind of overall high level usability improvements and improved giving opportunities on the portal, grantee spotlights, and a few other things. So here's where I digress from the standard product roadmap webinar. So ultimately at Impact, I mean, we respect you guys a lot, and we want you to ultimately choose your own adventure, right? We obviously have our own suite of foundation cloud grant making solutions. If you want to partner with us today and evaluate moving to, a suite of cloud configurations, that's awesome. If you want to take your time on FIMS and don't see the need to move right away, I mean, that's cool as well, and we'll respect that decision. And so I decided to just kind of show how choose your own adventure in modern society has kind of evolved over the generations. So this is kind of the original kind of choose your own adventure book from, I believe, like the 70s or 80s. So that's why I said Gen X plus. When you say choose your own adventure in a game setting to a millennial, this is typically kind of like what we think of. I'm in this mindset, or I'm in this cohort. So thinking about Zelda and all the different, little areas you can, run to in your little graphic video game. And this is how Gen Z thinks about choose your own adventure. So this kind of shows the degradation of society in a way. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, we want to leave it up to you guys as to, to guide your own product decisions. Your organization's way better than we do. But what we want to do is be ultimately responsive to your feedback and do what we said we were going to do, which is, provide development resources to make your experience on both of these products better. And so when we think about post-migration development priorities, obviously, as Kevin showed on the roadmap, we're we still have a few months before completing the migration, and we want to make sure that migration goes off successfully before we start moving forward on these development projects. But for Donor Central, I think the first thing that we'd like to build in, that tracks with the user feedback that we receive is embedded donation capabilities. So giving your donors the ability to make electronic donations right on the platform, as opposed to having to go out to some other payment platform and having you guys have to reconcile those payments in some ways or import them back into FIMS. We also, I mean, we're still in the early research phase here. I think we want to look at some front end configurability, flexibility, design improvements. And then also explore automated alert capabilities as well. And then for FIMS, I think we're really, really interested in the early stages of working through what a foundation cloud integration for HostNet customers would really, really look like. And then also in terms of upgraded reporting capabilities, what implementing Power BI for HostNet customers as well. And then MS Office in addition, as we know that was a pain point when Blackbaud removed that from you guys. And then additionally, I mean, we're also evaluating some kind of core interface and usability improvements too. Brandon, do you want to talk a little bit about our Fiserv, our partnership with Fiserv and how this might makes sense in a Donor Central perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jeff. So again, this is a very high priority item for us. We're really excited to get started in building this out. We are in the early phases, so we're assessing the feasibility of certain features. But as it might be obvious, in Donor Central, there will be a page where you have that donation form. And we're assessing what we can do there. For instance, you'll be able to gift to your own fund, but there's a possibility where maybe you can make gifts to public funds, so like a natural disaster relief fund, or maybe even to other DAFs. But in general, we want to offer as much functionality as possible. So that would be, having a lot of control over anonymous gifts, setting predefined gift amounts, and in general, just having that very high level of configurability around this donation experience. As well, once the donation is made, a gift record needs to be created in FIMS, along with many other things going on in the background to track and record the transaction. And like Jeff just mentioned, we are partnering here with Fiserv, which is a wonderful payment processor, to facilitate the credit card and ACH transactions. So if you choose to onboard to this platform, your foundation will be guided through the general process of creating a Card Connect account and going through all of those steps so that you can manage the transactions. There you'll be able to do things like void payments, issue refunds, see which payments were declined, and much more. So it's a great platform. Yes, that's basically it, Jeff. This is a high priority item for us, and we're really excited to get started.
Cool. So the second item that I'd just like to touch upon is, what a FIMS Foundation Cloud integration, would ultimately enable you guys to do. And we generally think that integrating those two, building an integration between the FIMS database and Foundation Cloud database will ultimately make it easier and enable you guys to modularly and kind of sequentially migrate to the cloud. And then ultimately access really robust cloud-based CRM tools such as Salesforce that you've been lacking for a long time, since I believe that Salesforce plugin was decommissioned or turned off. And this will give you a choice of donor portals, either Donor Central or our Foundation Cloud portal, which we believe is an enhanced portal option. With enabling greater configurability, and we're making design improvements to our Foundation Cloud portal every day. But ultimately, finding a way to migrate to cloud applications over time ultimately reduces disruption to your donors and internal processes as well, if you can stage your migration over a longer period. One other item that I'd love to flag is in the survey feedback and just from conversations with customers, I think a lot of you are looking for elevated service offerings. Once again, we're incredibly pleased and overjoyed that Rob and Rick and Leanne have transitioned from Blackbaud to Impact, and they're currently training some of our other team members on the support side to begin with on supporting FIMS and Donor Central and having that product knowledge. Just generally, we've had strong demand from customers, including training, report modifications, and also some kind of database audits and recurring database audits. Please reach out to Amy if any of you are interested, and we're happy to to scope those and get you guys going with members of our team. And this is kind of at a high level our roadmap. I'm not sure if you want to take that, Brandon.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add here. This just gives you a general sense of the timeline that we're expecting. I mean, of course, this migration is first priority. We need to get through this first, but we plan on tackling some of the lower hanging fruit in the design and usability side first, and then launching into the items that are over to the right, like online donations and all of the reporting and hosting enhancements that we plan on making.
Cool. It is 9:21, so we have plenty of time for questions.
We have a number of questions in the Q&A. So can you give a time frame for the FIMS to Foundation Cloud integration at all?
Yeah, I think we will. I mean, all of that development work is going to occur post migration, so that'll probably kick off late 2Q, early 3Q. So I'd say that we're in the early stages and don't want to promise a very hard deadline, but I mean, I would say probably 4Q this year, 1Q next year, for some base kind of beta version of what we're thinking. One other thing to note is, I mean, I know that, we have a lot of on-premise customers. I think that, from our perspective, the best and most straightforward way for us to provide you with all of our customers with, with kind of overall kind of platform improvements and integrations with other products is for us to do that in a kind of unified way with all of our HostNet customers. So please let us know if you'd be interested in evaluating what it would be like, to migrate to HostNet.
Great. There's a little confusion about the integrating with Foundation Cloud, and are you planning on certain modules to keep FIMS and transitioning to a different platform? They'd like you to go into a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I'd say we're still pretty early on in that evaluation. I think ultimately, we it seems like the vast majority of our customers would like to maintain FIMS, GL, and AP modules, and some of the allocation modules as well. I think we're interested in enabling, at least to start, you guys to process the vast majority of your grants on Foundation Cloud.
Great, thank you. We have some questions on FISERV and ACH. Will FISERV be the only integrated payment processor?
It will be the first. We may decide to build integrations with other processors as well. So, I mean, we are not exclusively, there's no like exclusivity or lockup with FISERV. And so we may ultimately provide customers with choice there too, but we think that Card Connect is a pretty good platform, and its pricing is very, very competitive relative to some of the other solutions that we evaluated. So we think that it'll provide significant value to our customers.
Yeah, so just to expand on that, if there's a compelling reason why there's another service that any of our customers think we should explore, absolutely, we would love to hear that. We did a lot of legwork and met with a number of partners, and FISERV was the one that far and above is going to offer the best rates for our customers, best service, a lot of features, and ease of use. So we're like Jeff said, we're open to other providers if there's a compelling reason and there's a large request, a large base of requests from our customers.
Yeah, so there are a handful of comments around Canadian payments and EFT donations. Yeah, I mean, that's something that we're going to evaluate. So I believe that FISERV includes Canadian ACH, but that's something, Darlene, that we can get back to you on about it.
Oh, good. Thank you, Jeff, for grabbing that. Yeah, they talked about, Nathan also brought up ACH is not widely used in Canada for payments. Will Donor Central donation capabilities include EFT donations?
That is something I think we're going to have to evaluate. I believe that is a capability. When we were going through the review process with FISERV, and actually that's one of the many questions when speaking with vendors, we were concerned about our Canadian customers. So I believe that is not a problem. Don't hold me to that, but we're happy to re-explore that.
Great. Along that same lines, do you plan to move them to the Azure Canadian Data Center?
Absolutely. I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, go for it, man.
Yeah. So I apologize if we have not made this clear. By all means, we intend to keep our Canadian friends in Canada. I know that is a desire of theirs, and so our intent is to make that continue with Azure.
Okay, great. Here's a question. Can you talk about the on-prem FIMS customers and if there will be any integrations or reporting or API features available to those on-prem customers?
That I think is just generally going to be harder. I think we just generally believe that the best migration path and the best way that we can utilize our development resources to provide value for the largest amount of our customers is to offer those in a fairly more controlled hostnet environment. So that is our current view. That may change as we continue to do more research and kind of evaluate our roadmap and what our decisions are. But unfortunately, that's our current view.
Yeah. So to speak to that, Amy, I mean, with every feature and every change we make, we'll be looking. That is one. To what Jeff was saying, it is much easier for us and viable for us to bring on new functionality if it's in a hostnet type environment, because we're working with knowns, and it allows us to make sure the networks remain secure and that the service is consistent.
Great. And so when you're referring to the hostnet, if they have their FIMS on-prem and Donor Central, you're referring to all Donor Central NXT and Donor Central platforms. Is that correct?
Yes, go ahead.
We're referring to Donor Central NXT, not the legacy Donor Central platform that I believe isn't around anymore.
Great. All right. There's some questions about the login and what will change. What will be required of the fund holders when they move from Blackbaud IDs to NPACT accounts?
We're still in the middle of this is the one part of the a lot of the tech we're still working through, and we don't have a definitive answer. Well, what we have is two possible answers, and in the interest of not making everybody's head spin from technical details, I'll just say that whatever we do will be an effort to make a minimal impact to the donors, and everything will be clearly communicated. So this will not be something that comes out of left field, and y'all as the organizations and the donors will be left surprised or confused.
Yeah.
Great.
Like one other thing to add there is like we are moving away from Blackbaud ID, right? So I think a lot of the user authentication login issues that your donors have had relates to kind of that shared like cross system sign-on for Blackbaud ID. Because we're not part of Blackbaud, we're essentially replacing that authentication authentication feature and making it a lot more simple and straightforward.
Great, thank you. Can you talk about the status of the build out of Endowment Manager, and can they expect that the functionality in FIMS and FACS module will migrate to a Foundation Cloud tech stack?
Yeah, Wendy, eventually, yes, that is the case. I think our org is focused right now, and our lead development resources are focused, really kind of solely on the migration and completing that migration process. And, the Endowment Manager roadmap is definitely something that we have, that backlog has been groomed, and that's definitely something that, we've touched on in some of our Foundation Cloud roadmap meetings. But our intention is to enable our fund investment tool to make, to handle unitization calculations and some of the other, essentially some of the other features that the FACS module currently provides.
Great, thank you. I know Leanne actually sent a message about the Windows 11, and that Tina had asked about FIMS. Will it be tested on Windows 11? So that is yes, FIMS will run on it, but progress has to be upgraded. They have a knowledge base article on that one. So Tina, if you can't find that knowledge base article, reach out and we'll get that to you.
So we will definitely continue to support on-prem clients. Like absolutely, new FIMS product releases, on-prem clients will continue to have access to. as we mentioned in the initial webinar after we acquired the FIMS Donor Central products, I mean, we're committed to supporting and maintaining both sets of products for 5 years, if not beyond that time frame. So you do not have to worry about that.
Great. There's some confusion
Yeah.
about the transition.
Oh, go for it,
Oh,
Amy.
I was just going to read this out loud so everybody can hear it. The transition of grants outside of FIMS is new information. Was there another webinar on the Foundation Cloud concept?
Yeah, so I don't know who this attendee is, and once again, like, this isn't a forced migration of processing grants outside of FIMS. This is ultimately what we think is the best and most straightforward path to give our customers a better user experience and greater access to completing their workflows using web applications. So our Foundation Cloud is our flagship suite of grant management and donor management products that we've been working on and developing independent of FIMS for some time.
Great. And that's there's a couple other questions about the Foundation Cloud, which is another name for GE, NXT, and Spectrum. That was the previous branding. So their new names are Foundation Cloud. So that we do have documentation on that. And Susan, if you want to reach out, I'm happy to get you that information so that we can show you Foundation Cloud. Lots of information about looking for Foundation Cloud. We can send something out if that'd be helpful too. Will BBGM still be a usable option for grant administration?
As of today, that is the case.
Great.
I believe that customers talking about the IGAM.
Or Blackbaud grant making, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So, Darlene, is there a migration path from FIMS to on-prem to FIMS hostnet? There absolutely is. But yes, I mean, you would have to migrate to the standardized data schema, and there would be some work involved there in having us assess your current on-prem install and make those changes.
Great. Here's when will Microsoft Office be?
Once again, like, we're happy to have those conversations with you and other organizations.
Do we have a time for when the Microsoft Office will be linked to FIMS again?
I would say, once again, I mean, a lot of this just kind of depends on migration timeline and how successful we are there. And that's obviously only for our hostnet customers. So I'd rather not provide like a hard timeline there because there are security concerns that we need to evaluate as well.
Sure. And is
there probably early next year?
Is there a migration path for the FIMS on-prem to FIMS hostnet?
Amy, I just answered that, so we'll get there.
I know that.
So yes, there absolutely is. Is Foundation Cloud built in Salesforce? No, it is not, but we have an integration with Salesforce that we're currently in market with today. Wow, this is like live fire. Is your integration with Salesforce nonprofit service stack and Foundation Cloud? That is currently how it's constructed. I think, yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yes, it will. What's the best way to put this? Theoretically, upon release as well, it'll work with I guess what most people would call regular Salesforce, but it does today. Once upon it's currently in beta. Once it goes to release, will it still work with just the straight Salesforce? We're not making that promise, but I would say that's more than likely the case.
Yeah, and we're trying to and actually, Brandon, if you want to chime in on this, you have much more of a detailed understanding than I do.
Yeah, I can say that in general, our plan is to make it work with the standard Salesforce, but NPSP offers additional functionality, additional fields, and so some of those will be compromised if your foundation choose to stay with the standard Salesforce.
Great. There's a couple in the chat as well. Some of our comments, IGAM to FIMS from a grants manager perspective, this integration needs to improve, needs improving. Excited to learn more about what's working on within the layer of grants applications. That's nice. Thank you, Scott.
Can you read that first one again? I'm sorry, Amy. Once again, I'm having technical.
It's was regarding IGAM to FIMS from a grants manager perspective. This integration needs to improve for the client applications for grants, scholarships, etc. The ability to run reports and have a cloud-based system to manage this. But they're
so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
I was gonna address that first part. So I won't go into the particulars, but essentially the easiest way to say it is we do not own IGAM, and IGAM is integral to Blackbaud grants product. As such, we don't have control over its development, adding features, making additional changes. With that said, that's one of the biggest motivations of having the integration into Foundation Cloud, because that's a piece we do have control over. And so, and that is a product that we are constantly working to improve, is cloud-based, and will continue to progress.
Yes, and Scott, we're happy to chat with you offline to provide you with a high-level demo of how our competitive grant and scholarship tools work on Foundation Cloud.
Great. Will there be open APIs?
That is something that we are in the process of evaluating as to just technical feasibility, given the age of the FIMS platform that we inherited.
That, not to make a sales pitch, but once again, this is an area, kind of to continue on with my last answer, this is an area that Foundation Cloud is going to shine. We're introducing a whole host of open APIs, and that allow you to do whatever you want with your data and integrate with the system. As Jeff said, that's with the nature and age of FIMS, I won't say it's off the table, but it's something we're going to take a look at. But it'll be a harder ask.
Great. They've also asked for a visual roadmap of options to convert.
Yeah, that's a great comment. We're happy to come up with something like that. A little bit of a kind of sequential set of decision tree options so that that's clearer.
Is there a plan to fully rebuild FIMS?
To fully rebuild FIMS in a cloud environment right now, we haven't thought that far ahead. So I mean, I would say that is a massive undertaking that we haven't fully scoped, and that is something that would most likely take years of development. And so right now that is not something that our team is actively working on.
So let me expand on that, Jeff. So here's the consideration with rewriting FIMS. Is it possible? Absolutely. The question comes the feasibility of the project. Like Jeff said, this This is something that would take, you're not talking months, you're talking years to come up with a very, a version that just came close to the current functionality. So with that much effort, it comes the value proposition of, if we did that work, would people be, willing to, or have a desire to pay the price it would take to basically essentially cover the development over a couple of years. And that's math we're looking at, and we're talking to customers. In the the brief amount of time we've looked at it, the easier choice would be to migrate to Foundation Cloud, as it has the features, it has the environment that people are asking for, and is already moving into the future. And it would ultimately be a lower price point than if we rebuilt FIMS. Projects of that magnitude are they're not small. So there's just a lot to consider.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we're definitely considering. I mean, like if Dennis, I forget who asked that. Not Dennis, but I mean, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to chat live with you about that. I mean, some of it is just, we don't know you guys as customers particularly well yet, and so it's understanding kind of commitment of our customer base to this product over the long term, and figuring out whether that development undertaking makes sense and is sustainable. So, but yeah, definitely not something to completely dismiss out of hand, but not something that is currently on our roadmap.
There's a question about the lead time. I think we talked about this a little bit, but what can they expect for lead time for moving their data from Blackbaud to NPACT? I don't know if that's a Kevin question.
You mean in terms of the migration to Azure?
Yes.
Yeah. So it will depend. That's the easy way for me to wiggle out of that. The way this will happen is all our customers will receive notice that we've begun migrations. And I can go into this a little bit. I was trying to keep my previous comments a little short. And what we'll be beginning with some of the simpler customer setups. The folks that are just have plain FIMS and plain Donor Central, and they will begin early on in the process. And so, technically those who come later will have more notice. But as I guess you could say your time comes in the queue, you will have this will be, we're talking at least probably a month of notice that, hey, we're planning on migrating you. This is not, hey, by the way, on a Friday, we're going to migrate you on a Monday. You will know well ahead of time. Does that help?
That does. Thank you, Kevin.
Just a question, does Foundation Cloud do all the things FIMS does? It does not, right? I mean, like our Foundation Cloud is a comprehensive constituent portal that enables you to interact externally with all of your core sets of stakeholders, be they, multiple types of donor roles, board members, grant viewers, and then also grant and scholarship applicants, and then an internal, grant and scholarship management and processing tool, and then a endowment management, and an income and expense and investment allocation redistribution tool. So no, I mean, we do not offer a kind of core accounting engine as part of our Foundation Cloud solution, as is the case with FIMS. And then also we do not offer kind of core CRM capabilities as well in Foundation Cloud.
So let me expand on that. So the nature of a Foundation Cloud is a totally different model in that we allow you to bring your CRM and financial package of choice that you're comfortable with, and the integrations we have is the integrations we have with different is expanding. As far as the crossover functionality, core functionality with FIMS, Absolutely, we're working to any deficits in Foundation Cloud. We're working to get it one-to-one for those functions that we feel might be vital in FIMS that people are actually using that we could bring over.
And there is a path.
Very small.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, there's absolutely a path to move from FIMS on-prem to Foundation Cloud, and Foundation Cloud alongside a set of integrated CRM and accounting system solutions, such as Salesforce for CRM and Sage for accounting. I mean, if that is a path that a number of our FIMS customers are choosing to take and have chosen to take over the last few years.
Great. There was just another question about that lead time, Kevin. I know you just talked about, but talking about the lead time for Canadian users, just about Blackbaud did not have HostNet set up in Canada, so the Azure environment would need to be built first. Is that correct?
So yeah, so I can go back and speak to this again. So absolutely have to. So as I said before, it is our intent to have that environment in Canada. That I guess a better way of saying that is our plan. Building out that infrastructure, the infrastructure is very modern, and so we're going to infrastructure as a service. If anybody cares to learn about that, I'm happy to talk about it, but I doubt most people want to hear about that. Essentially, what that means is that once our architecture is designed and we feel like it's where it needs to be for a first release, we can spin up architecture for FIMS and DC all over the world in any Azure location within a matter of minutes, and be ready to migrate folks to that. For some reason, if somebody, we won't be doing this, but this for grants and for you to understand, if somebody wants their FIMS in Ireland, we could spin that up, in under 30 minutes, and we could migrate them over there. So that is the timing on that is not the architecture. The timing on that is twofold. The continued feasibility study on allowing it to exist in Canada up to this point, that is totally viable, as well as your place in line. and to be frank, Canada would probably become would not be in the first wave, because as I was saying earlier, we're going to start with the simplest setups just to make sure we have all our bases covered before going on to more complex situations. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. I believe we've caught up on all the questions. So that was great questions, everyone. Thank you. As a reminder, we will be sending out a recording of this presentation. So please reach out if you did not get it, and we'll make sure you get a copy. I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.